to talk about the event a little bit and whatever.
All right, we're live.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Kevin Marin. I'm here with Chris Garrison, Blue Collar Millionaire, at our Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And today we're going to kind of talk about a little recap of what we were doing last week. Chris and I met up at the Dealmaker event, what that brought. And then we were just talking about when you go to these events, how you have a million ideas and you think that you can do everything. And that's awesome. But Mike A said one good thing: pick one thing and execute on it relentlessly. So I already figured out what my one thing was. And I'm really going to execute on it relentlessly. But what happens is I was in the elevator and I was thinking, oh, I can help this guy and I can help this guy. And different people were like, hey, would you want to partner up on that? And you can help me scale it. And I've done that, but I have to like take a little time a week to think about what's the best use of my time.
Yeah.
And Chris, tell what you were thinking about doing. And then we'll kind of like go over some times I've done it where it didn't work out for me when I got unfocused.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just sitting there telling you about a business opportunity. I'll keep it disclosed at the moment, but it's not in the technically service-based business. It's more in like the health and lifestyle business, I guess is what you would say. And so I was talking about that, and then I was talking about jumping in and partnering with an HVAC professional to start that stream of business. And then Kevin came in with his wisdom and he reminded me of what Mike had said. And he was like, it's so easy to come away from these with all of this excitement and all these ideas, because when you get in this atmosphere of these events, you do feel like you can run through a brick wall, and you hear so many different ideas because you've got 300 plus individuals in there that's not all doing the same thing. And it's an entrepreneur's Achilles heel is the lack of focus, that shiny object syndrome. And it's so easy to think I can go do it all. So Kevin said, who's going to run this for you? Who's going to operate this? Which I think is the key to any success in business, is having that correct operator, because that's why the entrepreneur always ends up being the bottleneck. They hit that glass ceiling, they can't scale, and then they end up finding excuse after excuse of why they can't scale. And I was standing at the party, Kevin, and I haven't told you this. I was standing at the last night, the birthday bash, and I was talking to Mike, and Mike looked at me, and I asked him a question, and he said, "You're the problem." He said, it's not anything else but you. He said, as soon as you fix that on the inside of you, he said, then you'll be rid of these symptoms. And that's what it boils down to, is we are the problem as the leader. If we're having an issue, we have to reflect back on what our issue is. And most of the time, I know for me, it's been in the past, lack of focus. I don't get clear on what I need to do, and I'm not staying focused on, once I do get clarity, staying focused on executing that. And I saw that when I got into real estate. I saw that some revenue dropped down on my disaster cleanup company. And so now I'm back focusing on the disaster cleanup company. It was a great play to get into real estate, but that is just a prime example of when you detour your focus and you don't have every person set up in your ecosystem, the business, the correct person in place, you will see some results drop because you lost a driver.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you real quick for Gutter King how it worked for me. So in 2010, I wanted to get more revenue I was in New Jersey, cold states, and I wanted to get more revenue during the off seasons. So I had this idea of roof cleaning. This is like the black algae on the roofs. It was everywhere. I thought, man, there's so much money here. And I thought all these condo associations would want it and everything. They didn't. They don't want to spend money on that apartment complex. I wasted probably 6 months trying to talk to each one of them. I didn't get feedback before I started on that. I could have easily have done that. I could have just called up 10 people and said, what do you think of that? They would have been like, no, they're not going to pay for that, which is basically what I found out. I ended up doing it there. Yeah, for homeowners, a lot of them. But it was always like me. I had to explain it, like how it works. It's sodium hypochlorite. It doesn't hurt your shingles and all this. And then I had to teach. For me, it wasn't that hard to learn, but to teach employees how to do everything, set up trucks differently. I was doing all this extra work. So I did it and I was making money. But then I was like one day just on my doing an Excel sheet and I was like, man, all the money comes from gutter cleaning. Like it's all the profit. So then you start asking yourself questions. How can I get more? How can I extend this over the rest of the season? And that was the change that changed everything for me in like 2012, 13. I zeroed in just on gutter cleaning. To give an analogy, we were kind of like McDonald's at that point. We were making burgers and fish things and McFlurries. And I said, I'm just going to do fries. And I'm only going to have employees make fries. But we're going to make the best fries. And everybody's going to come just for that. And the employees liked it. And it was really easy. And I mean, I doubled my business in probably 9 or 10 months doing that, getting really focused. Now the roof cleaning was kind of part of it, but I had to pivot. So I stayed really zeroed in on that. Then it really started to grow. And what I was just telling Chris was I had this guy who had worked for this hood duct cleaning company in a restaurant. Now we're getting totally different. I knew that business a little bit. I thought it was interesting. I started spending a lot of time on it. Like, hey, we can do this. We'll get trucks. I'll help you get the restaurants. He turned out to not be the right guy. He was lazy and it was going to be me doing everything. But then after a month of doing it, I just was like, wait, stay focused. You just doubled your business. Like, what will happen by the year 2018 if you just do this? So I had to check myself. And of course, I got zeroed in again. And and then it just doubled again and just keeps going. And I look back sometimes, I keep notes and diaries on myself. I don't know if you guys ever do that. It's really interesting to keep diary on yourself. And you can look back from a workout to eating to business and what works and doesn't work for you specifically. Mm-hmm. And I look back at that and I just cringe because I'm like, I could have some duck. It might be successful, but there's no way I was going to be shifting gears constantly. And I would have been the owner operator at that point. It's different if you have someone else operating it and you're just going on a Zoom call for 30 minutes a week and putting in good insight. It's very different if you're handling all the employees, and I was going to be that person.
Yeah, so I know both. I'm going to jump in on two different trains of thoughts here. I know when I first started out, I didn't have enough work for one service. So let's say I was going in to clean carpet, and then someone asked me if I would do upholstery. Then someone asked me if I would do windows. And I think it's fine as long as it doesn't stray too far away from your current craft. And you said something earlier that really triggered. You said I was having to set up all of my service vehicles differently. And at that point, you're having to it's like when a factory comes in and they retool their whole thing to start a new model of car to be produced. They have to shut down, and then they have to have all of this expense to do that. And I think that's probably one key factor of because I know me and you both have put a post out that we're looking to buy businesses. And that's one of the key factors, probably for you. I know it is for me, of how much different is this from what I'm currently doing. I've heard you say I could plug this into my current customer base. That's why I thought about the HVAC, because I was like, I got a current customer base, thousands of people that I've been servicing that already know us as a oiled machine that comes in, gives them great service and communication. So why don't we just add one other thing? But if I didn't have that operator, then I would become that operator again. And it takes me away from why I'm building all of this, which is to have time freedom and to be able to really do what I want to do and not be on the truck again.
That's all good points. The switching of the trucks. So this is how I think you can do it is, if it's in line with what you're doing and it's not that difficult to teach employees and you don't have to change out the whole truck to do it, I think it's a good way. You can kind of dominate that inside or the outside of the house. That's fine. But for me, this is how much we do it. We only use cargo vans now and for many years. It's nice and clean. Everything's locked in there. It's easy to drive around. But when I was doing the roof cleaning, you needed an open bed truck because of the sodium hypochlorite.
Yep.
You got huge 125-gallon tanks with mix in there or water, and you still have the ladders and everything. So when we were doing the gutters, we were using those vehicles because it's not like you're going to go buy new vehicles.
Right.
And I remember it was like we were in a hotel one time. We were doing this job about 2 hours away for the gutters, and I woke up, I look out the window, and two guys are trying to cut the locks on my stuff because it's not locked up. I run out there in the cold, and I was just thinking, like, why am I using these pickup trucks? I'm only doing it because of this roof cleaning. I want to get back to this. So it was another thing. I had to change the whole, and then I'd have to get like dual cab trucks because I'd be thinking about, we're going to have 4 guys in it in the fall,
Right.
so we need more guys. It was just a lot of hassle. It wasn't a good synergy for me. I thought it was, but it was a mistake looking back.
Well, I think it's much more powerful. All right, me and you were talking about this before we hopped on, and I made the statement that I've heard so many times from other individuals, successful individuals, and they talk about Bruce Lee's little statement of he fears the man. He doesn't fear the man that knows 1,000 kicks and practices at one time, but he fears the man that knows one kick that's been practiced 1,000 times. And if we can master and get really great at one particular service, and then we find another guy in our market that's great at this service, and we partner with them in an affiliate manner so that we can feed them, because I love to pay on the back end for new customers instead of gambling it in marketing, because it's a numbers game in marketing. You're throwing some money away to try to get some money back, and the goal is just to make more than what you've spent on the marketing. But when you get the lead and pay after you have contracted the lead, I mean, what's better than that? So the affiliate marketing side, partnering up and having that referral partner system is so much more powerful, because now you can be amazing. You can be a master at what you do. And then you pass on to someone else that's a master at what they do, which is reflecting on you, because now you were a great resource for your customer. My wife, she knows quite a large, she has a large network of people, and she gets asked all the time through Facebook Messenger and text messages like, hey, do you know someone? Do you know someone? I think that's an extremely powerful thing to be able to be a connector. But if you're always trying to do it yourself, then you're pushing yourself out of being able to be in that position. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, that's kind of what you do with you partner up with these guys that do the roof cleaning now. And
I'll tell you why I do that and why it works. So I've done it with a couple companies, mostly landscaping, where I go in there. They have an operation. I vet that guy. I like him. Sometimes I know them because they were subcontractors for me. So I already know they do good work and they have integrity. And then I say, hey, do you want me to get you associations for your maintenance? And I'll take a piece of it, but I'll do everything. But see, that's right down my streamlined of what I do. Because even though I'm a gutter guy, I'm really more of a marketing guy, thinking big, how to get customers, how to do proposals, how to get boards to okay proposals, how to think long-term. And they're not thinking like that. So even though I did have a landscaping business and I know operations and I had SCAGs and X marks, all that, I'm not going to do it now. It's not like a good use of my time. Yeah. So I stick with what I know and I like. So when I look to buy businesses or help people grow, I'm still staying, if I can't do it virtually and it's not my core strengths, which is growing businesses, marketing, building databases, getting out to them, then I won't do it. If I had to fly in, say John Crutchfield, he bought a landscaping business, and I haven't talked to him about this. He's going to do his own thing. But if he said, hey, Kevin, do you want to come in on this and grow it? I know I can help him grow it from here. Yeah.
Right.
But if he said, hey, can you come in to Texas and spend a month out there and help with operations? I can't do that. that would be a horrible use of my time, even though I used to do that and I can do it. Then I'd be all over the place. I need to stay zeroed in on what I'm doing.
Man, I think that's super important, being self-aware, and that's one thing that most people don't. And when I've noticed, I have become more self-aware just because I get in these rooms with these high-level thinkers and go to these events, because it really you have so much running through your mind, like we were just talking about. When you leave these events, you just, what should I do? Am I doing what I need to be doing, kind of deal? And it makes you look inwardly of what is my best use of time. The self-awareness that's amazing that you just mentioned that, and I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's so easy to have that new shiny new object syndrome. I mean, I have it. You look at something, you're like, especially you go to one of these events and you hear about someone's business, and you're like, wow, I should do that. I could do that. Let me start flipping homes. Whatever it is, it's like there's so many things. You really, to me, you can pick two things. You could have two businesses and do it, but I really like. I don't mind multiple streams of income, which I have, but it's really still the same core thing. I'm doing something I know works, and I can do it to landscaping businesses, and I can do it to pool cleaning businesses, and I can do it. But some of the businesses, no, I can't do it. Like if it's a FedEx route, I could learn that, but like now I'm at ground zero. I got to figure it all out over 6 months or a year. And I don't want to do that at this point.
So I think to kind of recap what you said, I mean, pretty much know your strengths. So you said, hey, mine is databases, marketing, scaling a business, and you're scaling it through the marketing by
Yep.
pulling the correct databases. And then the other thing that I have noticed is you always make sure that anything that you try to take a new endeavor on, you're able to utilize your current customer base,
Yes.
because you've already worked to build that current customer base. So it's a plug and play. And I've heard other individuals talk about, if you're going to do something else, make sure it's symbiotic to what you're currently doing. So that is, if you're cleaning gutters and you decide you're going to do lawn care, is your customer base going to purchase lawn care? Is your
Exactly.
customer base going to purchase dryer duct cleaning? And that's kind of what your wheels start turning about when you're looking at buying a business, right?
I'm thinking, are they going to use that service, and who's going to operate it? So yeah, I already know if they're going to use the service, or I'm not even interested in talking to the person. But then I'm going to find out, what's their team look like? Do they have employees? Are key people staying on who can operate it? And
Yep.
if not, I have a couple friends, one in particular who's retired now, is looking for something new, and he can operate it. And I would even say, hey, you can operate it with little or no money in on the deal. I'll give you equity in the deal. And then he's going to be the operator. Even if there is an operator, he's still going to be involved. It's going to go from the operator to him to me. I'm just going to stay in line with what I do. I'm going to put money on the deal. I'm going to scale it with marketing, and I'm going to do Zooms, and I'm going to get that business scaling fast. But I'm not going to be involved in Johnny from Tennessee was hungover, or
Right.
got something in his eyes and all that. Like, I'm not the guy for that anymore. There's going to be layers before me.
This is not a $250,000 gross income business either, because when you get into management like that, there's no money to pay. So so I mean, that's fine and dandy if you're doing a startup, because startups are startups. That's why they're called that, and they're there to grow. And that's when you bring a coach in to help you if you're in that startup position and you're struggling. But when you get to the level where you're trying to purchase businesses, I've heard you, and I've heard Caleb Marty even mention this. He was like, dude, I don't do anything that's doing less than $1 million, because there's just not enough revenue in play to be able to make changes and implement the operators, the staff that you need, the higher level staff.
Yeah, unless it's so and I agree with him totally. The only reason I would say, if I feel like I did with this landscaper, one of them in particular, we almost tripled his income, but I knew that was going to happen before I even did it with him, because I had already talked to a bunch of managers and lined up bidding opportunities. And I just knew I was going to be able to do that. But yeah, if you have a business that's grossing $300,000, there's no room to come in there, because even paying a bookkeeper can like kill the profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have that's a lifestyle business where it's kind of a solopreneur. I had one of them. When I was young, it was kind of just me and like a helper or two, and I did everything. And I made money. But if I said, oh, well, let me bring in this person to oversee this, and a bookkeeper and a customer service to answer the phone, I would have made no money. None.
Yeah.
I would have lost money then.
I think every successful, really successful entrepreneur are great marketers.
I agree.
Because that's what it boils down to. So, I mean, you got your people, you got your product, and you got your processes. So between the people, product, and processes, without the people, it doesn't matter what product or process you got.
I totally agree with that. When I see like marketing companies kind of advertising their service to market, I always think if an entrepreneur is hiring them, they really probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
A better way for that person to do it is if they said, hey, I'm not a marketer, I'm not a sales guy, I don't even really like talking to people that much. They should partner up with somebody like you.
Absolutely, man.
But
Absolutely.
see, you're open to that. And so you could say, hey, I'll scale your business, I'll handle the sales part, and you handle all the trucks, the operations, the getting jobs, getting 5-star reviews, all that stuff. You handle that. That's what that person should do, because they're not really rounded enough to grow that business. And I see that all the time where guys are really good at a certain type of skill. Maybe they're a concrete guy, or they're a roofer, but they can't get enough jobs because they're just not a marketer.
Yeah. And here's the reality, the sad reality of it is these individuals that aren't self-aware enough to realize their unique ability is not in the marketing so that they can pump in people, and it's more in just the execution of operations. They end up having a job that never ends, because when you go home, you're still thinking about it. You work more than a 9-hour day, and you could literally go plug into another company, bring your skill set, work for someone else, and make more money, have less headaches. When you leave work, you're done, you're gone from work, and have benefits. Because most entrepreneurs at that $250,000, $300,000 revenue level, they don't have benefits. I remember when I first started, man, I was running through with no type of health care, vision, dental, anything. I couldn't afford it. I didn't want to afford it, because everything I had extra, I was trying to dump back into the company. So, I mean, I think that's something to be very mindful of if anyone listening is in that position, to really evaluate finding a partner that's going to help produce the people that you're selling to and do the marketing side. Or you might just want to decide to go in and be a great operations person for someone else and their branded business. Because if the goal is not to have another job that you never leave, because when you are in that position, you don't leave that job. You carry it home, you sleep with it, you wake up with it.
That's why partnerships are great. If you're a great operator and you don't want to, and it just stresses you out, and you should find somebody who can do it. Because the truth is, what happens when you're not good at marketing, but you're good at being an operator, is you don't get enough jobs. You then don't charge enough for those jobs because they don't come in enough that you're like, oh, I don't really want to charge $3,000 for that. I'm going to charge $2,000 because I need it. And then you don't make enough profit to go get things like health insurance. But when you have a great marketer, Chris, we turn jobs down. They're good jobs, but I don't want them for some reason. Actually, the client kind of feels it. You don't need it. You get more jobs. Because sometimes, and then I charge higher prices because I really want to make more money for myself for a couple reasons. I want to give it to my employees, my team. I want to give better benefits, better things for that. And when you don't have enough jobs, and we all know this, you will go lower because it's just your psychology hungry of it. Like, hey, I can't lose this. I need this. I did that in the beginning when I was cutting lawns when I was really young. I did too. I was cutting them so low because you want to stay busy. You want to stay profitable. it's okay to not be busy every day, because you can go be busy getting jobs. Or if you're not a marketer, go be busy figuring out who you're going to partner up with. It could be somebody like Chris or I, it could be somebody in some guy you went to high school with who's just like, that's his thing. He makes deals happen.
Absolutely, man. When your pipeline's full, you got choices.
Yeah.
When there's no customers in the pipeline, you're needy as all get out. You just got to choose whatever's coming in.
We've all felt it when somebody comes to your house and they're thirsty for a sale or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can tell when somebody doesn't need it. You can't really fake it.
We got a question. Let me pop it up. Says, where are you out of, Kevin?
I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm originally from New Jersey. That's why I don't sound like I'm from Georgia.
And you pretty much, your gutter cleaning, the Gutter King is in southeastern states. Is that correct?
It goes from Massachusetts to Florida and all the way out to Missouri. So
okay, so
Illinois and Tennessee and Virginia, everything in there. So almost like half the country.
So how did you? I got a question on that. I think the listeners would be interested in when you began to scale that out, because you're in apartment complexes. How did you get into these other states? Was it because you were already working? Because I know with us knowing the real estate side, these guys that are owning apartment complexes don't own just one apartment complex.
That's a good question, and people ask me that a lot. So I'll tell you. So I was in New Jersey, and then New Jersey and Pennsylvania border on each other. So people were like, "Hey, we have 4 complexes in Pennsylvania. You're in Pennsylvania, right?" And I said, "Of course." And then I would go get a workers' comp thing over there, and I would send my guys there. They would come home the same day. And then I would just kept going out further. And then I got like some in Maryland and Virginia. Then the Maryland companies do Virginia. So I just kept going. So I said, wow, I could really get these anywhere. It's the same system. But then I had the idea of like, how do I want to go into warm states. So I think it was 2012. I spent the summer, or 13, when I got rid of the roof cleaning. I spent the summer. I actually went down to North Carolina, and I spent about a month there walking into places, calling places, making meetings. And I loaded up a lot of places for that fall. So then that fall, when we finished in the northern states, we were only doing New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland at that time. We actually took like 3 vans and we went down for like 3 weeks, and we stayed down in hotels and everything. So that's how I knew to do it. But it just kept growing. And then those North Carolina companies were in Georgia. These big companies have complexes in 3-4 states. Yeah. But the way I scaled it was, then I had to say, well, I need subcontractors. How am I going to vet them? How am I going to train them? And that took me a long time to figure out. But once I did it, I was able to go into any state. Now it's the same system.
Yeah.
You know, every time you get bigger, you have new hurdles and you have new problems.
Yeah.
And then once you figure that out, it opens like, oh, wow, now I can do this everywhere.
But that's exactly why you want to purchase if you've got, I don't even want to say it that way. It's not if you've got personally capital. If you know how to find capital, you want to purchase an existing business, because you get to skip all of that process of where you built the processes out. You get the plug and play system if you're buying the correct business. Now, at that point, all you have to do is inject capital into the marketing side, scale out your fulfillment side to handle the new customer revenue coming in. And that's when it gets really fun. The grind is definitely in that process of doing the startup to getting the processes in place so that here's what you do when this happens.
Well, I totally agree with that. I would not start a new business where I couldn't use my clients or that database again. Starting new, I would not do it. The only way I would do it is a business that I would do for free. And you say, well, what are you talking about? So you could say Blue Collar Millionaire. I like doing it, and it's not even a business. It's just fun. I'm just doing it. But if you want me to start whatever it is, a manufacturing business, and no, I'm not interested in starting that all over again. There's no way I'll do that. Even if I had no money, I would start digging the well before I'm thirsty, telling people what I'm doing, what I'm looking to do, and you will find money. And I would find money to go buy that manufacturing business and then step in. It's a much better way. And that segue is we're going to have Kyle Malian on.
Yeah.
I think he's so interesting. He's so good. And I don't know about you, Chris, but so many people ask me about buying businesses. It's like the new, it's not even the new thing. It's just once you get it, you're like, wait, this is better. And when you talk to sellers and you see what you can get them for, it's like for our real people who everybody understands houses. If houses are going for 500,000 and this guy wants to unload it for 260, you're like, wait a second. Yeah, I'll take that. And it's already built. And yeah, maybe it needs a little clean up and stuff, but maybe you're not even the guy who cleans it up. You send a crew over there to clean it up and paint it. You'll take that house all day. That's how the business is. So we're going to have him on.
Tell him about his event.
Maybe we'll ask him to be on next Tuesday.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Tell them about the event that we're going to in August. You've been the one.
Kyle and his partner Michael Byers have an event. It's August 5th, 6th, and 7th. It's all about buying businesses, all the techniques you can do from seller financing, SBA, a little bit about raising capital, how to find these people, how to negotiate the deals. It's like drinking through a fire hose. There's going to be a lot of info. But I'll be there. Chris will be there. Anybody who's there can always call me up. I just talked to a guy on this, Eugene Niles. We had a nice conversation. He called me about a pest control business he's thinking about buying. I did about a 20-minute call. I like doing this. I go on these walks every day. I'll do a call like that every day on a walk.
Yeah.
I'll tell you everything I know. I think I helped him out. I like doing it. So
Kevin will put the link in the comments when we're done with this, so you guys can grab that. We'd love to see you there. I'm super excited about it because the thing about it is I pick up gold every single time I go to one of these events. I bring back a notepad. I look at it. I have takeaways. And a lot of times, you know this shit already, but when you get to hear it multiple times, it gets ingrained in you, and then you start to act it out. That's why it's so important to get the same information repetitively. So we had I don't have the name because they didn't grant access to StreamYard. You guys, if you want your names to show up, you do have to click and grant access to StreamYard. Facebook requires it. But he says, is any other businesses looking to expand to? I guess he's wanting to know, is there any other businesses you're thinking about?
I like service businesses that have a residual model. So I like pest control. I was involved in that. It was the wrong owner operator, but I actually got him a bunch of complexes in New Jersey. I like landscaping. I just know that. And I don't care. People cut grass forever. It doesn't matter what the economy's like. Of course, I like gutters. I like duct cleaning, dryer vent cleaning, because you have to do it every year over and over. And I like to plug them into my customer base. What about you, Chris?
I think that was super important. That's something that I took away was, what is from Mike? He said, recession-proof businesses. What is something that people are going to use no matter what the economy does? And one of those things was HVAC, plumbing, electrical. I forget how he said it, but it was humorous. He was like, it's going to be I think he said it's going to be a dark, cold, crappy day if we don't have electricity, plumbing, and heating, cooling. And that's something that people are going to continuously purchase if they go out because we've gotten so comfortable to it. And again, grass keeps growing. So lawn care is there. That's kind of where my train of thought goes is what are people going to need over and over again? Because then you get that monthly reoccurring revenue. And when you only get to do it once, it's a kill and eat. You're constantly pushing for the next close, the next sale. But if you can get them on a subscription type plan, like a gym membership, that model, then that is a much more desirable business, in my opinion.
And we'll have a whole day on that, on the subscription model and how to make it such a good deal for customers that they just want to take it. But one other thing, caveat about the learning about buying businesses and everything is, it's really the reason I did it. I wanted to kind of reverse engineer by looking at the businesses that he was selling that were selling at big multiples, and then see what they had in place so that I could make sure my business had all those things. That's been the game changer. I've talked to so many business owners. They often don't have contracts. They're selling good faith and goodwill, not really contracted services. It's changed my model where I'm looking to do 3 and 5 year contracts with apartment complexes. If I get hundreds of 5-year contracts, my business, the value of my business is going to go up millions of dollars, because it's going to reduce all that risk for that company. So you learn about what other company, you know what you want to buy. So you think when you sell your company in 5 years, they're going to want the same thing. So you can start putting it into play. It's too hard to do it when you try to sell. It's too late. You got to do it years in advance.
Absolutely, man. That's so true. So true. Build
You,
something that you would be willing to buy later.
and you have to get it big enough that you can hire more people, because that's a much more attractive business. I have a mentor, awesome guy. He's 84, went to Harvard Business School and Yale. He's super smart. He sold his business at a huge multiple. And he always is like, you need to replace yourself completely. And he knows the value of my business. He's like, you'll make $2-3 million just by doing that. If you're the dancing monkey, that's what Mike Ake said in the Deal Maker, the guy who kind of does everything. You can't leave the company. When you leave, that company's going to go down, and any buyer is going to know that too. Or you're going to be strapped to that company, and they're going to say, well, we'll give you 800,000 or 3 million for your business, but you got to stay on for 3 years. It's
right.
like, now you get a job. It doesn't make any sense. So start putting the pieces into place that you're not that dancing monkey.
That's awesome, man. Anything else you want to add before we get off? We're at 36 minutes. We try to keep these things short for you guys so that y'all can pop in, pop out. They stay on the news feed. And y'all remember to check out YouTube channel. We've got a Blue Collar Millionaire YouTube channel as well. These are getting posted. Kevin has done a great job at getting us some great team members to produce this content. They're chopping up other content that you guys aren't seeing, and they're posting on some of these other platforms. So y'all check out the YouTube channel and make sure you like and subscribe it.
You know what we'll do? We'll have Job put up a post in here, and he can list them all. Then anybody wants to follow it, because we have good stuff. And then Chris and I, and I do. When we talk to other people about buying businesses, we're going to start doing Zooms, and then Job, his name is Job, our VA who does it, he's going to start editing those and putting them up. I just want to, sometimes I say something in a Zoom and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty valuable, and maybe somebody will help. It's going to be in these Instagram reels and TikTok reels, whatever. I don't watch TikTok, but you get the point. Everybody's doing this now. It's the new television. It's the new television.
Another thing that's coming down the pipeline is me and Kevin were talking about it. Be great for I don't know if it's going to be a sheet or something, but you guys can sit here and plug into however Job gets this set up and say, this is what I do, or this is what I'm looking for. And then it's going to be a hub for connection and resource. That way, if you're looking to sell, if you're looking to buy, if you got a particular skill, if this is your craft that you're currently in, then you can go to this sheet, whatever it looks like at that point, and you're going to be able to say, boom, there it is. Here's your resource. It's going to be like a directory pretty much.
Yeah, it's going to be an editable kind of like Google Sheet or whatever we do. And if you're looking to raise capital, if you're looking for an operator, whatever your super strength is, and we're going to see if we can help match guys up and really help grow companies. I know a lot of people might be tempted to raise capital in there. So I think we'll do a thing on what people who have money to invest look for. People make big mistakes on that. Chris, I wrote that kind of post in one of the real estate groups because I've invested, I think, $1.7 million into other people in the last 18 months. And I'll tell you exactly what I look for and why I do it. And it's very different once you have money than when you're looking for money. When I was younger, I wasn't raising capital, but I thought people with money wanted something maybe different than they really do.
Yeah, I think the psychology, I actually just took a 4-week course with Dana Cornell about the psychology of raising private money. And it will surprise you, especially if you're in a position right now where you don't have a bunch of money and you aren't an investor, to realize what people with money, they just want preservation of their capital. And so
That's
they're really looking to make sure that where they're putting it is not only going to give them a return, but it's going to give them their principal back.
right. People with money aren't like, oh, you're going to make 30% return for me. They don't really believe that because they're so knowledgeable about money. They want to know you're going to return their capital. You have integrity. You have the ability when shit hits the fan, and it's going to hit the fan. What are you going to be able to do about it? And then, of course, they want some return on their money that's logical and makes sense. And then you can really grow with that person. I see people on Facebook and everything, like they just put crazy returns. They're just not capable of probably doing that. Not to say that there aren't deals out there that can have crazy returns.
Right.
But it's the psychology of it. People who think about saving $100,000. It's not making 100. It's saving 100,000 after all your expenses. You don't need it, and you're going to invest it in something. That person knows a little bit about money and saving. They're not borrowing money on a credit card trying to make 30%. They want something structured and everything. So you need to present that to that person. We could talk about all that stuff, the psychology and everything. It's really valuable to grow your business. You can grow business with other people's money much faster. It could be the banks as well, than trying to do it yourself. I know that.
Love it, man. All right. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all check us out. Invite. Yeah, Kevin will put the link in for the event we're going to. But invite your friends, invite those coworkers and those peers, and let's grow this community, because the bigger we get, the more resource it's going to be for everyone.
All right. See you guys next week. All right, bye.